Hey y'all, we are back again with In My Opinion. I'm CJ.
And I'm Mark.
And this week we just gonna be talking about a couple of different things, just about being the firstborn.
Yeah, growing up the oldest and the I guess dilemma it can cause sometimes with your family and with your other siblings and all that.
Yeah. I know, like, so technically people already don't know this, like, so I have an older brother. I've only met him one time, but technically, like, I'm the oldest because, you know, we didn't grow up with him. So I'm the oldest, and I feel like I am the go-to, like the most responsible. Like, I always got to have everything in line, in order. And if I don't, it's like it's a problem. And I'm like, dang, man, can I just catch a break one time? Like, can I just... Can I get some help?
Can I get some help? Because I'm the oldest. And it's like, when you're the oldest, where do you go? Because everybody else come to you. So who do you go to when everybody's pretty much depending on you, looking at you as like, all right, Mark got it together. Mark gonna be okay. It's always like, so what Mark had to say about that? What, like, well, sometimes I ain't got nothing to say. I'm just, I don't know. Like,
that's how I feel too. Because me being the oldest, like, my siblings, I love them to death, and they come to me about everything, and like I can rely on, you know, them for the most part. But at the same time, it's like everybody always thinks like I have my stuff together. Like, oh, you got this great job. Oh, you got school. Oh, you live by yourself. It's like I am constantly and emotionally stressed out all the time.
Right.
And like my sister Capri, she always says, she's like, yeah, I called you because, you know, you're the reasonable one. You're the one. You're the voice of reason. I'm like, most of the time, y'all don't even know, like, what I really want to say, but it's like I'm always, like, holding back. I'm like, I know I have that perception of what I need to say or who I should be.
Right. I mean, same thing. Like, everybody, like, oh, Marquise has pretty much voiced sound risen. I'm the oldest of all my siblings on my mom's side and my dad's side. And then, like, Matt, my second brother, like, a lot of times when he needs something, he text me, and I don't always have to answer sometimes, so I kind of gotta go, and then I think like, okay, so what would our grandfather say? Even though he passed a few years ago, what would he say in this situation? What would so and so, or what would just kind of trying to figure it out on the fly. And I think that's pretty much why we are the oldest, because we go out first, and we're like the trailblazers. Yeah. So we got to go out, we got to live, we got to break down the wall and be the I guess the enforcer, and figure out stuff
it's like being the
for
third
everybody
parent
else.
A little bit though.
It is. So the crazy thing is, when I was reading about this, they said that we are a lot like our parents. Yeah. Because we were the first oldest, and we had most of adult attention on us for like a year or until your other siblings came along. Right. So technically, we are the third parent. So sometimes they be like, "Oh, you gotta have fun and loosen up." I will, as long as you don't do nothing stupid.
Exactly.
Like, and my thing growing up, I always told Matt, don't do nothing stupid. Because I knew for a fact he was going to do something stupid. So I'm telling him, don't do anything stupid. Like, funny story, we were on summer break. And this is before we had to go to football practice. And he comes downstairs, and he has a lighter, and he has Lysol.
Oh, that's fun. I did that before. That's fun.
Has lighter and Lysol, and I'm seeing him walk outside, and I'm sitting there watching TV, and I promise on everything I love, I said to him, do not do anything stupid. He's like, I'm not going to do nothing. 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes later, all I see is this humongous giant smoke coming from the backyard, and he comes to me in the kitchen, and he's like, hey, man, give me the nozzle from the sink. I'm like, you know that's not gonna work, right? And I told you don't do nothing stupid. I'm like, get the water hose. And then I went upstairs like, you on your own. Because I'm like, I told you so. If the fire department come, I told you not to do nothing stupid. He thought it was a great idea to take Lysol fire and light some dry leaves on fire.
Oh, dry leaves.
Dry leaves. Flammable. Right. He thought that would be a good idea to do that.
And with me, you know, I'm the oldest of 5. So, like, I have twin siblings. We're, like, 18 months apart. Then, you know, I got Cassius and Colin. And Cassius is, like, 3 years younger than me. And Colin is 10. So, that gap right there, like, Colin being 10 years younger than me, I'm just like, dude, you don't even know. The parents you have are not the parents I had.
It's not the same parents.
And you said trailblazer kid. I think that's so funny because I call us the test dummy kids. Let's see what works and what doesn't work on these first kids. Because like I feel like Colin, he got My parents are gonna hate me for saying this. I don't care. But he had so many more like privileges and availability to do all this stuff. So I'm just like, what do you mean? Like you have like he could just do everything. Like he could stay up late. Like when I was a kid, my dad would not let me stay up past 11 o'clock. Like he like go outside past 11. What's past 11? I ain't nothing open past 11 but gas station and legs. I'm like, dude, like I just want to hang out with my friends. Like I'm not even doing anything. So I don't know. It's just the first kids is a lot, and I also feel like we're growing up with our parents.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. But so I don't look at, a lot of times I don't look at it myself as just solo, because me and Matt, we like, I don't know, 16, 18 months apart, something like that. So I look at us as both as test dummies, even though between my other siblings, everybody still comes to me. So it's funny that you said they had more liberties to do stuff, because it was actually me. But the reason why Matt wasn't able to do as much is because he was always in trouble in high school.
Okay.
His friends to this day say that he missed an entire summer, like entire 2 or 3 summers, because he was just doing stupid stuff. He would just lying for no reason. I'm like, what are you lying for? Just stop. Just stop, bro. Just go with the flow. Ain't no need for you to lie. If you say this, this will happen. If you do this and act like that, then this will happen. But, but I still think it is, everybody else still does look up to you in that role, even though our roles are kind of reversed a little bit. And then it's funny actually kind of seeing my youngest brother, Mason, and then my 2 sisters grow up now. They don't listen to nothing we say because they don't think we know anything at all. And I'm like, okay.
I think like that's how it is a little bit with Colin. Like Colin's 10 years younger than us,
right?
With me, and he listens to me on some things, but other things he just like. We had this whole conversation about him going to college, right? So Colin got a full ride. He's at BG, whatever. He's super smart. We had this whole thing about how he should present himself,
right?
So he has locks.
And
like I'm pro-black, like wear your hair, do this. But I also told him it's not even about you having locks; it's about you keeping your hair neat.
Right. Like
you can have locks and still neat. I'm like, if you go to an interview, you should pull your hair back. Like that's just a thing or whatever. And he's just like, why can't I come as I am? This is not the true transparency. I'm like, dude, it's about professionalism. And he's like, I can't believe you really are saying this or this and that. I'm like, dude, you have to come presentable. Like this is not about me, because I love fashion.
Right.
I love to dress. Like tennis shoes is my things, all that. But he's not really into all that stuff, which is a little different from me. Right. But he's just like, why do I have to do? I'm like, dude, you have to professionalism. You have to come.
Right.
And with that being said, I also feel like my parents, like if we were on a boat drowning, I'm gonna be the one that like she'll figure out. She's gonna learn how to swim. Yeah. She's gonna learn how to swim. She's gonna figure it out. But the other ones, they're like, let me get a life jacket. Let's get them a raft. Let's have them swim. I'm like, no, dude, I'm drowning too. Like, help me out. But they're like, no, she'll figure it out. And a lot of times I do think my parents are like, because I am, mature, I'm responsible. That a lot of times I think my parents, like, they don't worry as much about me. They're like, no, she'll got it. Like, I know that this child is going to be okay. Yeah. And the other ones are like, look, if I let him go, he's going to drown. He's going to be at the bottom of the ocean. So right. I really feel like that's how they view us.
I mean, yeah, because for me in life, it's like growing up, I used to be so upset because it seemed like I was always thrown in situations where it's either I got to sink or swim. Mm-hmm. And obviously I can't sink. So I just got to start trying to figure it out as best as I can on the on the way up or whatever. It's like I feel like I was thrown in a whole bunch of dummy missions. It was just it was just like I don't have a lot of details. For example, nothing specific. It'd just be like my mom would say, go meet. Actually, a few years ago, she was doing something and she wanted me to go pick up some Mother's Day gift or something from one of her friends or something. I pretty much had no details about it. It was just you meeting my friend at Giant Eagle at 2:30. She drives this type of car. When I got there, it was also like 3 types of those cars. Right. So I'm like,
can I get a number or something?
Right. And then my thing is, I don't keep asking a whole bunch of questions because I know when you ask those questions and you press them, they get upset. Then it's like, all right, I'm stuck in the wilderness. You upset. Now I'm upset that you upset. And it's just like, I'll figure it out. So I would just figure it out. Then I'm just like, you know what? Forget it. This is going to make the most sense. And if I do it my way, you can't be upset for me doing it that way.
Yeah. I'll give you an example. Like, for me, like, me going to college, I really feel like, man, my parents just threw me in the wilderness. When I went to college, so y'all not gonna give me like no roadmap. And I mean, the best thing I can say that college did was provide me with that independence and that structure of me like figuring out, hey, right. you gotta be an adult. You gotta get it together. So it's like you have to do these things or it's not gonna work out. But on the other hand, I feel like my parents, I don't think they didn't know how to be honest with you, as the first child. And like, I mean, I'm really the first person who went to college, other than my cousin, like, and finished and went through or whatever. So I don't think they really knew how to support me in that avenue because I'm at school, like I was working 3 jobs. I was playing basketball. I was 16 credit hours. Like I was doing it. And I'm just like, can y'all send me a ramen noodle packet, something? Like me and my friend Bettina, like, that's my right hand or whatever. We eating biscuits and butter, like, for dinner because we ain't got it. Like, we poor, we're broke, we ain't got nothing. And I don't know if my parents actually knew, like, the severity of me being in college with nothing versus, like, their thought of, she gonna be fine. They're like, well, the cafeteria, go to the cafeteria. I'm just like, the cafeteria closes at 7. I went to a predominantly white school, and the cafeteria, the nuns, they shut that stuff down. The sisters shut it down at 7. So we got practice until like 6:30, 7.
Right.
What y'all think I'm eating?
Right.
Like, I got a work study job. I'm just trying to figure it out. But like really, like being the oldest child is really about like setting that example for the rest of them.
Yeah.
And then like my brothers, they crack me up so much because like Caprice, I think she's my sister. She's the one I lean on. A little bit more than I say my brothers, but my brothers, they're like, what? Struggle? You don't struggle. You don't know about anything hard. Like, your life was just so perfect. You just grew up in a rainbow and candy land. You had daddy all to himself. Like, especially like Colin, he always talks about how, like I said, we have 2 different parents, right? We 10 years apart. So I had young dad. I had dad who was able to hoop. I had dad who could take me places. He got financially stable dad. Right. He don't even understand, like, my parents gave me this example. Like, I didn't know our lights was off. Like, it was tough. But they used to, we used to have these things called candlelight dinners. And we used to think we were so fancy. Like, we used to come home and sit down all nice. They'll bring out the nice china. And we used to think we were so cool for having these candlelight dinners. And, like, my stepmom, she recently told me, like, I want to say, like, a month and a half ago, like, oh, yeah, we was doing it because we ain't had no electricity. I'm like, what? Right. So, my siblings don't understand, like, again, yeah, I had, dad who can move and do all these other things, but I didn't have dad who like, oh yeah, I can spend this out. And I don't know, and like, my dad still was able to do stuff with Colin, but at the same time, he doesn't have like, again, young dad. Like, my dad was dunking still when I was a kid. Like,
I mean, so let me ask you, through going through all of this, do you think it set you up for everything that you're doing now? Did it help you hinder or kind of like stunt growth in a way?
No. I think that, to be honest with you, like, to be 100% honest with you, I think it made me a better person. Like, I literally can figure out anything. Like, I can make $20 last for 2 weeks.
Right.
Like, I can figure it out. And not to say, like, my siblings can't, but I do think my siblings have a harder time with certain stuff because they didn't have that struggle. Mm-hmm. Especially, like, the 2 youngest ones, Cassius and Colin. I do think that they don't have that resilience factor on certain situations.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe so that's so Colin, because I don't know if he's really seen that yet, but yeah, I do think that I can get through a lot more because I was in those situations.
Yeah. I think it definitely helped me too, because like when I'm at my job and dealing with like younger people, I would think about critical thinking. Like if there's a problem, how am I going to solve this problem? Instead of, I feel like when I'm at work and I work with younger kids, it's like they have a problem, they're going to run to somebody else to try to figure out. And I'm like, just do this or do that or go do this. So I think That helped me because I always remember my mom telling me, and I hated school growing up. I hated school, didn't like it. I hated school to the core of me because I don't like waking up early in the morning. To this day, I still don't.
I know.
Okay. To this day, I still don't like waking up early in the morning, but I remember my mom always telling me, do it right the first time, especially when it comes to my homework. So then I'm thinking, okay, all right, I got to do it like this, but how can I do it right and do it pretty much efficiently and effectively?
Yeah.
The way that I look at it. So I do think that it helped me.
I don't think it helped me too, but I also feel that I've grown so much of independence that I don't know how to ask for help.
Right.
So that is a big thing.
Yeah.
I do think that it made me so independent. Like, I figured out how to get my credit up. I mean, I didn't have any credit. Like, 24 years old, coming out of college, I had no credit.
Yeah.
And pretty much, having no credit is like having bad credit. So
Yep.
I figured out how to get my credit up. I figured out how to do these things. I had to take some alternate routes and to get to where I was going. But when you talk, like I said, as parents and things like that, my dad, me and him had this conversation all the time, and my stepmom, each child needs something different. Mm-hmm. And just thinking that, like, being the oldest, it's like, dang, but why can't I have that need? And my mom tells me this story all the time. Like, I potty train my twin siblings.
Uh-huh.
So, like I said, we like 18 months apart. Like, I'm 28, they're 27. So, like, we really are close in age. But they wanted to be around me so bad or whatever. Like, I told them, like, if y'all keep peeing on yourself, y'all can't come. And my mom was like, it was really amazing. Like, they never peed on themselves after that. Like, never, ever in their life. Like, they wanted to be around you and not just having that leadership.
Right.
But on the other end, again, like I said, who helps me now?
Right. So I think first let me ask you this. But like you said, the independence part of it, do you feel sometimes you just want to be separate from everything and by yourself and then just almost sometimes just want to be shut off from the world?
Yes.
and why is that?
I don't know. It's so crazy because, like, again, I love my siblings, and, like, I even had to explain to one of my siblings, like, he's like, yeah, you want to hang out, do this, stuff like that. I was like, and it's not y'all. I'm really the type of person where I get socially drained.
Right.
Like, I get to the point where because I'm always helping, I'm always doing this or doing that. That's like, hey, I need to be by myself. I need to be away, and I don't want to talk to anybody. I mean, I think I just made a post, like, I hate small talk.
Right.
Like, I don't like when, like, my siblings, y'all call me, y'all need something, and like I said, it's no beef or anything like that, and I'm not trying to rush you on the phone. Just like, if you call me, you need something, get to the point. Don't butter me up, don't sugarcoat it. If you need something, say what you need and get off my line. And I feel like that's a part of the independence is where, like, I'm so tunnel vision and I'm so direct. It's like, I don't want anything that's going to pretty much hinder me. Right. And I'm not going to say hinder me because, like, I don't think they hinder me. But I'm saying, like, I just don't want anything that's in my way. Like.
Yeah, I got you because a lot of times, like, after full week of work, like on a Saturday, I just want to be by myself. I don't want to be bothered. So then sometimes somebody ask me, can you do this or can you do that? And it's like, sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I could do it. Then other times, no, I can't. And it's not that I can, it's I don't want to just because for my own sanity, I just want to be able to be at peace. And then sometimes when I say no, they be like, well, you're not doing nothing. That's the point. That's my whole point. I don't want to do anything. And I think as
the oldest, it's an obligation. Because, like, even with my grandparents or, like, my mother and my dad and stuff like that, like, they come to me to, like, handle it or whatever. And it's like, me saying no isn't because, like, sometimes they're like, oh, you're selfish. And it's like, and I mean, I went to therapy about this, like, and I flake. Yeah. Like, I'm the type of person that if you invite me somewhere on Monday, Friday might not be looking good for you. And I was even reading this.
No, I'm not even going to lie. If you ask me day of, it's probably not looking good.
Yeah, and I was reading this about the oldest child, that we overcommit to so much stuff that when we don't do something, or sometimes we really just, like, flake, or we just don't do it, and it makes you look bad. And I went to therapy about that. I'm like, man, I don't know why I keep flaking on people. Like, I don't know why. Like, when you first asked me, I'm like, oh yeah, like, I'm gonna do it. I got y'all. Like, I'm gonna help you with this, do this, that. And then it come times where it's for the most part, like, yeah, but it come times like events or something like that, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going, like. And it's really because you commit to things you don't want to. But as the oldest, like I said, as I was reading, as the oldest, you feel obligated to not only take care of everybody around you, like your siblings, but your friends.
Yeah.
Like if you're the oldest, like you take care of a lot of your friends.
Yep. I mean, and then I completely agree. Like sometimes I agree to stuff. I'm like, oh, that seemed fun. And then the day of, in the back of my mind, I'm like, do I even want to do this?
Yeah.
Like even this morning with all of this, after I got done with all work and stuff, I'm like, I should probably cancel. But I can't do that. I'm not going to cancel. I committed to this. It's been a while. So you got to hone in sometimes. But yeah, I do find myself a lot of times doing that. But I, like you were saying, overcommitting. Do you think because we are the oldest, do you think it's that we want to be perfect?
Yes. I have a complex. Oh my God. And it's just now I'm just starting to like really recognize that I feel like I need to be perfect.
Right.
Like I feel like I need to be in every aspect. I need to achieve everything top tier, like no mistakes. I'll give you an example. So like I'm getting my doctorate right now.
Right.
And Thursday, I'm back at work full time. We used to have Wednesdays off. Man, God bless those Wednesdays. We used to only go to the kids used to only go to school 4 days a week. Now we're back in 5 days a week. I coach basketball. I'm the varsity assistant coach at Lutheran East. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I leave from the west side, I'm coming all the way back to the east side. We're practicing from 4 to 7. I usually don't leave at 7:30, almost 8 o'clock. Driving all the way back to Willoughby, taking care of, you know what I'm saying, like stuff I gotta do at home, doing my homework. I'm still somebody's girlfriend. I'm still somebody's sister. I'm still somebody's niece. I'm still somebody's daughter, grandchild. Like doing all that stuff. And then my grandmother, she was sick. Yeah. She was sick this week. So in between me literally from leaving work, dropping my niece off, coming back, going to get my grandmother, dropping her off at the hospital, going to practicing for 3 hours, going home, doing all my assignments, cooking dinner, and getting myself together. I'm like, dude,
right? I'm
drained.
Yeah, and sometimes it is the perfection thing, but I think because I'm the same way, but I think the best thing for us to do is to kind of not always say no, but at least help them figure out an alternative to me not being there.
Do you feel like you're hard on your siblings? My parents tell me I'm judgy. I'm judgmental on my siblings, and I'm like, I don't mean to be judgy, but it's just I expect more from them.
Yeah. For a fact, I am super judgmental. Super judgmental on my siblings. I don't always mean to be, and I don't mean it in a harsh way, but it's just I see the potential. I see what you can do, what you need to do. I just kind of want to nudge you into a different way.
Yes.
Right.
And that's mine. It's I expect so much from y'all. And my brother, Cassius, he made a comment. I'll never forget this comment. He always told my dad, he's like, CJ's the son that you always wanted. I'm like, wow. But for him, it's he really has to fill in these giant footsteps.
Right.
He felt of me.
Right.
And the pressure of him being the middle, he's the third middle child because the twins are the twins.
Yep.
That pressure of being able to fill in that capacity is a lot. So it's as the oldest child, you have to be the parent, the third parent.
The third parent and all of that. But I think the best thing for us to do is don't completely commit to everything. Everything is not going to be perfect. It's going to be all right. Sometimes you got to be a little, as hard as it is for us, be a little softer on everybody, including siblings. I know I hate the sound of that being softer, but I think we're gonna get it. So I think that's our time for today.
It is.
All right.
So we'll see y'all next week.
We'll see y'all next week.